Class. My name is Eden. I give the live classes every Tuesday. Hey, apology for the technical issue. So hello everyone, my name is Eden. I give the live classes every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. India Standard Time. If you haven't already, please follow me on the app. You need to do so to be able to write in the chat. So welcome if you're new to the app. In the live classes, you can ask questions, you can share your opinion. Please do, that is the point of them. Lots of you are already talking to each other. That's great. Ananda says, hi, everyone. Hi, Ananda. Welcome to today's class. And hi, Pooja. Hi, Mongoli. Hi, Belal. Hi, Manisha. Welcome back, Manshu. Hi, Mariam. Lots of you joining. Hi, Raj. Chan 47, you can join in the Zoom room. So if you're a pro member, you can join in the Zoom room. Sometimes people ask, how can I become a pro member? I think last time someone asked that, I didn't get the chance to explain. You have to have a pro membership. So I've put the link in the chat now. So if you want, you can join that. So let's see, he's in the Zoom room. I see Swapna's just joined. Welcome, Swapna. So please join us in the Zoom room. So today we're going to be talking about the world news that's happening at the moment, things that are happening in the world. Excuse me. Excuse me. So we're going to be talking about the issue in Ukraine today. So I don't know if you watched the news. If you did, please share your opinion on it. What do you know about the issue in Ukraine? Hi, Ananya. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How was your school, Ananya? Did you have school today?
No, ma'am. I didn't have school today.
Did you finish your exams, Ananya?
No, ma'am. The exams hasn't started yet. But my day was there was no school today, so my day went like an usual day in the lockdown.
Okay. So did you do some studying? Did you do some exercise? What did you do today?
Yes, ma'am. At first, I woke up and got freshened, and I had my breakfast, and I studied for a little bit. Then I joined 10 a.m. class.
Lovely. So what was the topic in that class?
It was a conversation. The topic was there will be two person having the conversation, and one of them is like the one who is new to the town or city, or and the other one will help them out finding something.
Okay, very good. So lots of good practice for the real world. Great, Ananya. Hi, Shailendra. I think you said hello at the same time as Ananya.
Yeah, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Shailendra?
Ma'am, yeah, ma'am. I'm good, but I have been watching updates on Russia-Ukraine war since morning.
Okay, great. So you can summarize for us. You can share. I also want, if anyone else has been watching the news, share your opinion, give us updates about what you've heard about it today, the situation today, maybe your country's perspective on the issue. Lots of countries are reacting in the same way. Some countries are reacting a bit differently. So please share these things. It's a discussion a topical discussion. So topical means it's relevant to what's happening right now.
Okay.
So Shailendra, share your summary on what's been going on.
So, ma'am, this war has been speculating by Western countries since November last year. They have been
Speculated,
telling,
yeah.
they have been telling that Russia is amassing the troops to invade Ukraine, and the reason of this conflict is the NATO membership and the Donbas region of Ukraine. Russia says that this region is an independent region, and Russia does not want Ukraine to take membership of NATO because there is a conflict between, there is a big enemy. They are big enemies, NATO and Russia. So Russia does not want NATO to come to the Ukraine. So that's why not yesterday, ma'am, today morning around 6 a.m., Russian President Vladimir Putin, he addressed his nation, and he ordered his troops to invade Ukraine and to demilitarize Ukraine and denazify the Ukraine. It is insane. Now, ma'am, the world is divided into two parts: Russia, China, and their allies like Belarus and some countries, and on the other side, Ukraine and the NATO countries or Western countries. So, ma'am, this is going on in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, good summary. Thank you, Shailendra. You use some great words as you speculate. We can say to speculate is to guess about what's going to happen or to form a theory about something. It's to form an opinion, but that you think is true. So to form
Ma'am, at one time, even I was not convinced with the speculations made by the US. But now ma'am, in the morning, it proved that they have been telling, they were telling correct information. They were sharing.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I think, yes, some people didn't think that it would happen. I remember having this conversation in a previous webinar. Somebody said they didn't think it would happen. The only reason I thought it would happen is because knowing Russia, knowing the kind of personality that Putin is, when you have sort of somebody who's probably a sociopath or a psychopath, they don't really care about the consequences. They want things like power. They are hard to reason with. So my opinion would be that the—
Ma'am, good evening.
Hi, Abe, how are you?
Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am fine, ma'am. How about you, ma'am?
I'm great, Abe. Have you had a good day?
Yes, ma'am, my day is going well, ma'am.
Excellent. Have you been watching the news recently, Abe?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
I heard the news.
Yeah, man.
Ukraine and Russia started the war, ma'am.
Yes. Were you surprised? That's the first question I want to know. So Shailendra did bring up that idea that he didn't think it would happen. I know previously people also in the webinar didn't think it would happen. So were you surprised by Russia going to war?
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Putin announces a military operation, ma'am, in Ukraine.
So were you surprised? Did you expect Russia to do this?
Ma'am, Mr. Putin announces the military operation in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's exactly a way to summarize. He announced a military operation. So military procedure, a military task that he wanted to do. He's not going to use the word war, but that is what it is. But were you surprised? Was anyone surprised that Russia did this, that Putin did this? Did anyone think it was likely to happen? Hi, Hemant.
Yes, ma'am.
How
How
are
are
you?
you? I am fine,
I'm,
ma'am. How about you?
I'm good. Do you have a good day, Hemant?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Have you been watching the news? Did you hear about the Russia-Ukraine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Today I watching news. Russia attack on Ukraine
Yeah.
and Ukraine capital Kyiv.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you surprised that Russia did
Ma'am,
this?
no surprise. Russia attack. Russia Russia plan 6 months ago, and
Mhm.
Russia wait Chinese Winter Olympic end 16 February yeah, after attack 16 February in the Winter Olympic, and after attack Rus on Ukraine.
Okay. So the link between the Olympics, I don't know much about this. Can you explain that in more detail, Hemant?
Yes, ma'am.
So the Olympics, did they wait until the Olympics were finished?
Ma'am, Olympic, no Olympic question. Means Chinese Rashtrapati Putin go to China in Winter Olympic, and Chinese Rashtrapati say Putin Winter Olympic end. Russia wait Inter Olympic end after attack Ukraine.
Yes. So he waited and then he attacked.
Yes,
do you think he will have the support of China? Do you think maybe?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. China support Rus.
Do you think he went to get support when he went for the Winter Olympics? Did he ask for support?
Ma'am.
Hi, Abe.
Ma'am, our Indian people, my Indian people, lot of Indian people stuck in the war, ma'am, in Ukraine.
Can you repeat that? A lot of Indian people.
Yes, ma'am. Stuck in war. Yes, ma'am.
Can you repeat it, Abe?
Indian people, ma'am.
Yes. What about Indian people?
Indian people stuck in war in Ukraine, and Ukraine didn't provide the plane to back India.
To help India? During which time? Did anyone sort of gather what Abe said? Sorry, Abe, the sound isn't great. Yes, please, Shalendra.
Actually, ma'am, I wanted to say that 20,000 Indians are in Ukraine and now they are struck because of war. Airspace has been closed by Ukrainian authorities, so they can't move out of Ukraine.
Yes. So
yes,
it's not just thank you, Abe, and thank you, Shalendra. So it's not just Ukrainians who are being affected, it's people from all over the world in Ukraine and a lot of Indians, 20,000. That's a big number. I didn't know it was that many. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, so they are having trouble as well. So do you think the Indian government will lend their support in terms of the military? Will they help the people get out of Ukraine? What do you think, Abe?
Ma'am, our Prime Minister talk and look after the situation of Ukraine and Russia.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what he will do? Do you have a theory? Do you have some guesses of what he will do?
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Sayali, welcome. How are
Ma'am.
you?
I'm
Hold
good,
on, Haman,
ma'am.
I'll come
And
back
how
to
are
you.
ma'am?
I'm good, Savat, Sayali. Do you have an opinion on this topic? Were you surprised? Have you been watching the news?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
Just yesterday, I watched some news.
Mhm.
So, some news reporters went there and asked some people in Ukraine. So,
Mhm.
some of the people they were collecting some stuff to save their family and themselves
Mhm.
from the war, from the
Mhm.
attack of from Russia. And
Yeah.
some people were very means they were not thinking about the attack because I think this tension was between the two nations uh, for 8 years. So people in Ukraine were thinking that Russia will not attack on them, so they were not um, they were not frightened. But
Yeah, they
today,
did not expect it.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm shocked that Russia went there in Ukraine, and yeah, it was surprising for me also.
Mm. So we can say there is an idiom, we can say someone is taken by surprise. If they were
Yes,
surprised or something was unexpected and they were shocked, we can say
ma'am.
they were taken by surprise. Yes, Haman?
Okay.
Ma'am, just 1 hour ago, I am reading news. Britain Prime Minister Boris Johnson said these war this war is going toward very destroy,
Toward? What was the last word?
very destroy.
So there will be a lot of destruction.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you think there will, so yes, I think it's a dangerous thing. Do you agree, Haman? Do you
Ma'am,
agree with?
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm going to toward very destroy.
Yeah, so we can say it will cause a lot of destruction. There is a phrase that we use commonly to explain that something is going to end badly. It will end badly, or it will end in disaster. So it seems like it will have a lot of bad effects. So we have lots of different players that are involved. Sometimes we talk about a player, somebody who's involved, not just when we talk about sports. There are different players. Yes, Shalendra?
Ma'am, what is your opinion over Western reaction, ma'am? They are not willing to send their troops. Even NATO, they are not willing to send their troops, ma'am. Why? What is the reason behind this, ma'am?
I think they think war will be unpopular. They don't want to risk people's lives. They don't want to spend the money. They don't want, they will feel like they will need to get approval from the public. They will need the public to support it. Since the wars in the early 2000s in Iraq, there is less support for going to war. It's not as easy for a British Prime Minister to go to war because that was such a badly supported thing after it happened. People didn't feel like it made a lot of impact. But I think this is a very different situation, because you don't just have one country internally being under dictatorship, you have a dictator taking over another country. So I think this is a different situation, and I think it needs some more action. Because I think Putin is the kind of person who, if he feels he can get away with something, he will just do it.
Yeah.
And basically, Western powers are going to not do enough to stop him. So who knows what he will do next.
And ma'am, I want to share India's stand on this conflict, ma'am, on this matter.
Yes, please do, Shailendra.
So far, ma'am, India has been neutral country, and because India has a good relationship with Russia, because Russia supplies large military equipments and advanced weapons to India. Therefore, India does not want to take anybody's stand in anyone's side, because Ukraine is also a good friend of India. So that is the reason India has been a neutral in this matter.
And do you agree with it? What do you think about India's stance? So a stance is their opinion, the side that they're deciding to take, what they are, how they are acting. So what do you think about India's stance?
Ma'am, I can say that India's stance is good stance, because India is directly not involved in this conflict, and India has its different aspiration. It does not want to take anyone's side, because if India takes side, it will affect its economy, and India is a developing country. It can't afford a bad relationship with any country in the world, because ma'am, Indians like to grow. They don't believe in war. That's why India's stance has been neutral.
Okay, very well summarized. Thank you, Shailendra. So I want to know your stance on India's stance, everyone, in the chat and in the Zoom room. Sarika made some lovely points. Sarika said, in every war, there is too much destruction. Very true. Too many lives lost. Seems unnecessary. Sarika says, every country will suffer somehow by this war. So I want to know, do you agree with Sarika's opinion? And if you do, or if you don't, explain why. If you do agree, do you think then more countries need to do more? Are countries doing enough if you think everyone will suffer? Sadia says, hello, this is my first time joining your class. Welcome, Sadia. We are talking about the conflict with Ukraine and Russia. We are sharing our opinions on this issue. We will learn some words related to this issue in a moment. But first, I want to hear your opinion. So if you know about the news, please share. If you don't, you can ask questions. What is going on? Ask questions, and other members in the class will share with you. Anita says this conflict will take long time. It is the result of Cold War between two powerful countries. No one in a mood to cool down. India has good relationship with both. Yes, it's interesting. Is it related? Does it parallel the Cold War? If you know a bit of the history, please share your opinion on this. Good points, Anita. So what do we think? Does anyone want to share their opinion on the issue? Has anyone had any new thoughts? Please share your opinion if you have them. Does anyone in the chat want to share their opinion? Okay. So the Cold War was something that happened in the 60s. Maybe we can look at some history topics. I don't know if anyone is interested in doing history topics at one point. I think that would be interesting. If anyone has a historical topic they'd like to go through and debate at some point in the webinar, please let me know. But the Cold War is related to the situation going on right now. If anyone has any opinions, so the Cold War was between Russia and America. It's called the Cold War. It was usually the East and the West, Russian East, American West. Yes?
Precisely between USSR and United States of America.
Yeah, exactly. So at that time it was Russian controlled territories, so the USSR. Exactly. Thank you, Shanandra. Do you want to give a summary of this to explain to people a little bit about the Cold War?
I don't know accurate history, but ma'am, I know that there was Cold War. Cold War means when you are involved verbally and they are strategically playing their steps. Okay, so they are not directly fighting. There were no direct fighting between militaries, but they were on red alert. They were talking like that the war is going. They were talking that the war was going to be happen at any time. So that is when it means Cold War.
Yeah, great summary, Chandra. Exactly. It was the Cold War because it didn't turn into actual fighting, although for a long time people expected it might. Hemant, do you want to share an opinion or say something on this?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Ukraine want to make member NATO.
Yeah.
NATO, because Russia don't want to make member NATO. Ukraine.
Yeah. Exactly. What do you think of that? Is this Russia's power play to prevent them having a say in the world stage? What do you think about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree that Russia is, maybe there's some other reasons as well that they might be going into Ukraine? Do you think that it will work? Will they be able to prevent Ukraine going into NATO? Do you think this is the right move for them? What do you think, Hemant? What do you think of what Russia is doing?
Yes, ma'am.
So you've said why they're doing what they're doing. What do you think about it? Is it a good thing, a bad thing for them? Do you think it will end up in their favor? As in, will it work for them?
Ma'am, these war, the war.
Do you think Ukraine will become a part of NATO? So if something works in someone's favor, an event or a moment, it means that something is positive for someone. That thing is positive. It's going to help that person or that organization reach the goals that they want. So we talk about things working in their favor. Will it work in Russia's favor? If many Western countries are afraid to do something, maybe they will prevent Ukraine from joining NATO eventually. So Chan47 says, I'm new to the class. So welcome, you can join us in the Zoom room. If you click on your link, share your opinion on this topic. Labour has joined, so Labour, you can join in the Zoom room. Welcome. So there are lots of words that we can use to describe this issue. Swapna, do you want to say something?
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So, yeah,
how are you, Swapna?
I was thinking that if, yeah, I'm good, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, so I was saying that if if other countries are not ready to support Ukraine and uh, just send their troops for fighting against Russia, then there is high chance that Russia will invade Ukraine, and it will not be part of NATO. It is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it won't be part of NATO then, but it might uh, end up as World War III maybe.
Yeah.
If multiple countries try to support each other, like we have China and Russia standing together, and we have other countries, so that might lead to World War III, and it will cause lots of uh, loss to everyone around the world.
Yeah. It's true. If we think about how what mirrors, so what is similar or what parallels what happened during World War II, why it happened, when you have lots of dictators around at the same time, they can support each other. So with World War II, you had Hitler, you had Mussolini. In Spain, you had Franco, so they could sort of support each other. And you have something similar now with Russia and China. So it's a very good point, Swapna.
And I also...
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hold on, Abe, just let Swapna finish her point. Yes, Swapna?
Yeah, I also watched I also watched one of the video where one person was just sharing. I'm not sure how much valid it is, but I would like to share that I thought that, I mean, it is true. So it was like earlier when Ukraine was part of Russia, so that time, like, a few of the people in Ukraine wanted Ukraine to be a separate nation, and they don't want it to be part of Russia. And Putin was one of those people who didn't like Ukraine to be separated, and that's why he want his nation to be part of Russia again.
Yeah, I think that is true, Swapna. I think Putin does want to enlarge or to make the Russian maybe empire bigger. I think he likes the old days of, as Shalendra said, the USSR, when Russia had lots of territories, lots of countries. It would mean more power for them, and for him, it would mean more wealth. So I think you are right, Swapna. I think that is his goal. I think that's what he wants.
And even China also has a similar thoughts. They also want to grow their territory by invading the countries and neighboring countries.
Exactly. So has anyone seen the film 8 Years in Tibet with Brad Pitt? It's about China's invasion in Tibet. And yes, similar things have been happening over a couple of years, decades. Pardon? It's called I think it's called 8 Years in Tibet. I saw it recently. I think it's 8 years, 10 years in Tibet. It's set during just after the Second World War. China invaded Tibet. And a German soldier was actually living in Tibet. It's based on a true story. Somebody who saw it firsthand. And I think he befriended the Dalai Lama at that time. Based on his true life, he ended up becoming friends with the Dalai Lama. So Brad Pitt plays this German soldier. And through his experiences in Tibet, he learns about his own country, the issues with Germany at that time, Nazi Germany also being sort of aggressors and taking over territory. So it's a really good film. I really recommend it. I think it won a few Oscars. Abe, do you want to share your opinion?
Yes, ma'am. This is my opinion, ma'am. The Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan favored to Russia, and Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan went to Russia yesterday and met to Prime Minister of Russia, Putin, and this matter, this issue of military operation, ma'am. So I think Russia and Pakistan is talking each other and support to Russia. Pakistan is support to Russia, ma'am.
Yeah. So does that make you worried, Abe?
Yes, ma'am.
Anita makes an, yeah?
Any bar is the worry, ma'am, because any bar people die, lot of people die.
Yeah.
So this is the sad news, ma'am, and not good. I am worried about this, ma'am.
Yeah. Do you think, like Swapna, it could lead to sort of world war, this issue?
And
Could it lead
Prime Minister, ma'am, our Prime Minister also talking about this operation to Putin or Russian leader, ma'am, from Russian leaders.
Do you think any countries will be forced to get involved, even if they don't want to? Do you think that's possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think it's possible that countries may be forced to get involved in the conflict, even if they don't want to, Abe?
Yes, ma'am, possible. Hold the bar and operation. If a country talking each other, then stop the bar, ma'am. No problem.
Yeah. So if talks don't work, countries might have no choice. Anita makes another great point. She says there are lots of hidden matters behind this issue. Ukraine has become a sandwich in China, also indirectly supporting Russia. Yeah, great point, Anita. And a great metaphor. It's the sandwich, sort of, it's one of the layers of issues that are happening at the moment. And that's usually what happens with conflicts. Lots of issues happen at the same time. Anita says this issue is like a fighting between two tigers and both are misusing Ukraine for their dirty game. Again, interesting metaphors there, Anita. Yeah, interesting. So a concerning issue. Does anyone think this issue will end well? Hi, Kati.
May I talk?
Yes, please share your opinion.
Yes, ma'am. May I talk?
Yes, please do.
Yes, ma'am. The Russia and Ukraine conflict is similar to like the India and Pakistan issue. Even means in India also, the major conflict between India and Pakistan is about the state Jammu and Kashmir. Means one wants to hold the the conflict is about that state. In the same way, the Russia and Ukraine also fighting about one particular part of the Ukraine, which is now situated in Ukraine, but Russia is trying to hold that state or border. I don't know. I think. And one more thing, ma'am. Actually, the thing is, earlier actually, if two countries fight with one another, it is just like the fight between those two countries. But later, what happened means the countries which were in support of those conflict countries also, as you mentioned earlier, they were forced to support them. Because if we take the example, like China is in China or Pakistan, means they also need to support this issue. but actually they're not. They don't want. And even United States of America, and even means we don't know whether. I think India also may participate in this war. Means, and one more important point, ma'am. This issue means is not a issue of two countries. It is a now it's a become a world issue because if we observe recently, the stock markets of every country has fallen. Even India, the stock markets fallen for about 40%. So this conflict has means it's affecting almost all the parts of the country, all the parts of the world, especially both financially and as well as mentally. Mentally means the people who are in the Ukraine, especially not Russia, Ukraine, they're means facing a lot of mental issues because Russia is a very big country. Means those people are thinking that we may die anytime. We want some people to help us. They are thinking like they are in a such kind of situation. So the mental state of Ukraine people is also not good now at right now. Yeah.
That's very, very good points, Kartik. So sometimes when we talk about the big issues, we think about the big countries, but thinking about the people on the ground is so important.
And also the mental situation of the people who invested in share markets is also not good right now because some people invested in share markets with a long term perspective and a long short term perspective. Their mental state is also not good because they cannot take back their money in such kind of losses. So means almost it's affecting almost every citizen in the world, whether it may be directly or indirectly.
Yeah, some great points. The stock market, yes, bringing up that issue, Kartik. Well done. I don't know if anyone else saw how the stock market dropped so much.
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Who's this?
Hi, Eden.
Hold on, Shava, let me come back to you. Who's
Hi,
speaking?
Eden. Yeah.
Hi.
Is I'm audible to you?
Yes, I can hear me. I can hear you.
Okay, then thank you. Thanks. Well, actually, I would also like to put some point on the ongoing discussion.
Please do.
So, yeah, as far as I thought, it has been scripted back in 1994, when there was treaty signed between between Ukraine, US, and USS Russia regarding the elimination of nuclear weapon from the Ukraine. So, because at that moment, I think Ukraine was the third largest country to hold lots of weapon, and that was left by the Russian during the I think during 1988 or 1989. So that treaty was actually done between three of them to eliminate those nuclear warheads. So, and from that time, Russia was like totally behind Ukraine. So, and if you go some a little back in 2014, they invaded Crimean Peninsula of the Ukrainian region and make him free, and all that Crimea is now a free nation. And then again, it's the eastern part of Ukraine as well as the Kyiv city has been invaded early morning. But I do not know, like, there is not only the reason of NATO being in the NATO, because Russia itself in NATO, then other country who is a Russian nation, like Lithuania is also a NATO nation. So it's something different about the NATO, because if being in the NATO, I don't think much more problems for Russia. And second, if you go for the drawback of this war, then you can see for last couple of months, crude oil prices is increasing rapidly. Almost like I think 15 to 20% has been increased by now. And as per my knowledge, more than 40% of European population relies on natural gas that is delivered by the Russia, and Russia also contribute more than 25% of crude oil to the world. So obviously, there will be a very bad effect on the socio-economic development, because ultimately the price of crude oil, natural gas will rise up. Secondly, mm, regarding the NATO nation, they should not have to interfere in this, because if NATO nation interfere in this war, then this war might accelerate to the world war. It might going to happen a World War III, and there will be a lot of devastating, as per my knowledge.
Yeah, some really great points. Thank you for sharing those. Yeah, definitely. It might accelerate the situation, worsen it. And as you mentioned, the economic factors, I wanted to think about this. So thank you to you and Kartik for mentioning that. The stock market, crude oil. So do we think that the situation around the world will worsen, the economic situation will worsen for a long time? Will there be long-lasting effects? Do we think the stock market will increase? Will it improve? And what signs does it tell us if the stock market has dropped? Do traders think that the situation is going to affect other economies? Maybe they do if the stock market has dropped. Shobha, can you
Good evening, ma'am.
share your
Ma'am,
good
and also,
evening?
ma'am, I read one news, ma'am. In future, ma'am, I think by this fuels rates are rising, ma'am.
Can you say that again?
Rise, ma'am.
Shobha,
In future.
in future, what?
I'm audible.
Yeah, sorry, it's just a little
Fuels
bit.
rates are increasing, ma'am.
Okay, interest rates. Did you say interest rates?
Increasing, ma'am. Its prices are rising, ma'am. Prices will rise, ma'am.
Yeah, from the situation.
The prices of fuels rise, ma'am.
So what do you think? What is there the link with Ukraine? We've had interest rates rising because of the pandemic, because of other issues. How do you think this issue with Ukraine will affect prices and interest rates and other things? So Maha says, when did Russia enter Ukraine? So I think it was about 2 days ago. Yes, Swapna, please share your opinion.
Yeah, so according to me, like we all had seen that how pandemic has affected the entire import and export chain, like the stock market basically. So we can predict the future as well, because from Russia, it has the largest amount of exports that's happening across the countries. So if this war happens, of course, the commodities will not go out of the country. And when demand rises and there is less product, it will, of course, gonna affect the cost of the products. So
definitely
we can expect, we can expect the increase in prices of multiple things, which is being supplied by these countries.
Okay, so a lot of chain effects might happen, increase in prices, increase in crude oil. We're already seeing the stock market dropping because of issues. Anita mentions that it is turning Ukraine into another Afghanistan. Does anyone agree? Are there similar issues? Kartik is answering your question, Maha. Kartik said recently Russian army entered some parts of Ukraine. Yeah. Maha says thanks. So do you think this issue will affect you? The stock markets have been affected. Prices might rise. Do you think in the near future this issue will affect you directly? How far do we think the effects, the ripples of this effect will go, of this event will happen? Maybe we're already seeing them, but does anyone think it's going to directly affect them?
I think that yes, it will affect us directly, because we are the end user who actually uses the things around us. So if the prices rise, then we are the one who are purchasing those things, right? So indirectly we will have to pay more for consuming, and there might be some scarcity as well in near future.
Good word, scarcity. Yeah. Overlapping issues, the pandemic and this issue. it might seem that there might be longer chains of effects because it might worsen already pre-existing issues. What does anyone else think? Does everyone else think that it will affect you? Does anyone think the opposite? I think we've heard a lot of. Yeah, Shalendra?
Because we have seen even during COVID, we did not have any scarcity of commodities. We could order commodities online, and there were ample commodities available in the market. So, ma'am, we live in a global village. Every country is depending on each other. So we know that war is going on, but still we are connected with each other with businesses. So I don't think there will be any large scale fluctuation in commodity prices.
Okay. So maybe not long term, maybe at the moment things are dropping, the stock market's dropping, stocks might drop, maybe commodities, but not long term. So as long as the majority of the world isn't affected. Interesting.
These are only ripple effects, and then all the things or all the issues will eventually die down.
Yeah. So you are more optimistic, Shalendra. You're not pessimistic about the effect it will have on sort of your life.
Because ma'am, we have seen annexation of Crimea, we have seen war in Syria, we have seen the pullback of America and NATO allies from Afghanistan. All these things did not affect anything. Everything has been happening as usual, because every country is depend on other country for the commodities, for businesses. Even ma'am, I want to give you example of India and China. Even they are nemesis, but still we are connected with businesses. So this business has stopped, has been restricting India and China to go on a war because of business ties.
That's an excellent point, Shalendra. So businesses can prevent war, basically economic. If there's something to lose, people are less likely to go to war. So maybe that answers the question of why Russia went to war, because this links to another question I wanted to ask you. What is Russia's economic role in the world today? Is it a powerful economy? What do we think? Do you think it had something to risk by going to war, or maybe it had less to risk and so needed the war? What do we think? Can I? Yes, please.
In my knowledge, Russia right now condition is very strong. Either in by army strength you can look in, and then in economics, and then in technology, and in each and every aspect, Russia is very strong rather than their opponents. Coming to the business point of view, it might affect the several European countries, because there will be a disturbance of supply chain, because most of the European country, they really relies on Russian wheat, because Russia is one of the major producer of wheat in the European region. And apart from that, many metals and equipments has been exported to other country from Russia. So it will have an adversely effect on those scenario. Other thing, there will be some ups and downs in the diplomacy as well, because most of the country in the world, if you see, they are on two parts. They have both, and they are supporting Russia as well, and they are a good friend of Western country as well. So they really don't want to know that this war should accelerate, because they obviously want any way to neutralize this war, and can make it finish by easy talks, and so that will be a good enough for everyone. Because if they are going too deep, then there will be a severe condition. you can't imagine what is going to happen in the future.
Yeah, we can sort of only hope for the best. Everything is sort of linked today. Sveni Slava, so please let me know where you are from, where you're joining from, asks, if we discuss here, does our voice reach the UN? Unfortunately not. But talking about these issues, sharing our opinions with people in different places is a way of forming connections in the world, and I think a positive thing. So please do share your opinion and let us know where you are joining from, Sveni Slava. So does anyone else have an opinion on Russia's economic role in the world today? Will it change after this war? Do we think Russia will become a superpower? You might think that Russia's economy is strong or maybe weaker than other countries, but do you think it will change? Will it become a superpower? It is arguable. I think most people would agree it's probably not one of the biggest superpowers of today, but will it become that? Are we at risk of another superpower being formed? Is that their aim? And if so, is it a bad thing? Are they a threat? What do we think? Will this situation change their role in the world?
Yeah, may I?
Please share your opinion.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that Russia wants to be a superpower nation because that is why they are trying to invade Ukrainian currently. So I think if that happens, then probably Russia will become a superpower nation.
Okay, so maybe their aims are to gather more territory, more power to become a superpower. Chan47MZ says Russia is already a superpower. Okay, can you share why you think that? What is your requirements to be a superpower? It's not something that's definite. You have to create your own sort of definition. There definitely are countries which are definitely not superpowers, but it is dependent on your opinion. Shailendra, what do you think?
Ma'am, I think, ma'am, the main reason behind this war is that Putin and Russia wants their glory back. At one time in the history, they were superpower, and there were only two main countries in the world: Russia and allied countries, and America backed allied countries. So, ma'am, I think that Russia is Russia wants that glory again, ma'am. That's why they have invaded, and I don't think that this war will continue for for longer period, and they will do some these attacks for 3 or 4 days, and they want to show world that they are still world power.
Yeah. So maybe it is in part out of desperation. We know that Putin was brought up in the days of the USSR, the Soviet Union, when Russia had control of lots of land and territories. And as Shailendra said, he wants those glory days back. Whether they were glory days, that's arguable. Some people did like living in the Soviet Union. Some people would say that life wasn't that great. There was a lot of control living in a dictatorship state. What do you, Sarika says, I don't think Russia will become a superpower. Okay, can you explain why you think it won't? Do we think that there will always be leaders who want power? Is that something that is always part of history? Will it always continue? Does history repeat itself? Has anything changed? Do we think we will reach a point when invasions are a thing of the past? What do we think? So we had, I think Swapna brought up World War II. there is lots of parallels with World War II. Svenislava says, I'm from New York. Hi from New York. Welcome. I love New York. I have family who live there. So thank you for joining from New York, Svenislava. If you have any questions, let me know. And please share your opinion on this topic. Does someone want to share their last thoughts on this issue? Do we think that history is repeating itself?
Yeah, history does repeat, and still we can see the recent scenario. If in past there was Mussolini, Hitler, and so many other invaders. So in today's generation also there is Kim Jong, then Xi Jinping from China. You may also consider Putin as well. So history does repeat, and that's it. Sorry.
Do we think we will reach a time when invasions don't exist anymore? Is it a part of human nature? I wonder, or some people's nature.
It is human nature, because everyone wants power. So either whatever position you are working, you need to be more powerful. So in simple scenario, if you are working in an executive level, one day you want to become a manager, then HOD, then upper post of everything. So of course, many my leaders from the other nation also wants that their nation should be a powerful. Such as China, the way they are dealing with the poor country, it's too dangerous in coming near futures. The same with Kim Jong, he is unstoppable. And as far as I concern, the major role of US was not as good as it earlier was, because right now if any country like going against the US, they just putly put sanction on financial. So what they will not going to financially support those countries, just like they did with Russia. Most of the European country, Canada and US, they have put only financial blockage. But why don't they put on the other things as well, like on business, on trade relations? So only blocking finance, it doesn't sense anything else, because Russia is already money, and they have a good friend of China. So China will obviously support Russia in terms of economics and finance. So I don't think this will be work anymore for the Western country. They should have to think for the other thing as well.
Some really good points, Chandra. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I think it's true. The economic sanctions, the blockades that they're putting on Russia, they aren't really enough to affect Russia. They have ways around it. So we'll only have to see how this situation plays out, what will happen. Svenislava says history does repeat in the same content in different ways. Interesting. So ending on that note, we can only hope for a sort of peaceful resolution, peaceful future. Sarika says, although Russia has missiles in abundance, but there are other countries like China or the USA which are wealthy and have many hidden things. It's true. There's other kinds of wealth apart from military. Military strength doesn't always reflect other kinds of strengths of a country. So this is an interesting topic, but I hope for the people in Ukraine that the situation does end without too many losses. Thank you everyone for sharing your opinions on this topic. If anyone has requests for topic next time, please let me know. Shailendra, I know you want a sort of grammar topic. We'll come to that soon, but we're going to do another conversation class next time. I think a historical topic. Does anyone have a historical topic they want to focus on Sunday? Let me know. Or on Sunday, if you have a topic request, a conversation request, let me know on Sunday for a next class. So I'll be returning on Sunday, 7 p.m. India Standard Time. Thank you everyone for sharing your opinions. So well structured and so well explained. Some really fantastic descriptions. Thank you, Svenislava. Have a good rest of the day. You're very early there in New York, I think about 10 o'clock. Yes, Shailendra?
Ma'am, I think, ma'am, you have a very good knowledge of, ma'am, world politics. So, ma'am, you should call Putin and ask him to stop the war, ma'am.
Thank you. I don't think I have that great knowledge. I think there was some great knowledge shared in the chat. Yes, I don't think Putin is the kind of person to change his mind based on a phone call. I think Western leaders tried that, it didn't work. But yes, we can only hope that he does maybe change his mind. I think it's unlikely though. But thank you, Shailendra, and thank you. I think you have a great knowledge on so many different topics. So I always appreciate hearing your opinion. It's always a great addition to the class. So thank you, Shailendra.
Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful morning to Svenislava in New York. Have a good weekend and hopefully see you on Sunday, 7 p.m. India Standard Time. So bye, everyone. I hope it's a peaceful week.
Thank you, Eden, and have a good day.
Thank you for sharing your opinion, Chandra. It's so fascinating.